So let's talk carnivore diet. So I think, it is just a shame that people just don't do carnivore diet, honestly. I just don't. It's kind of like I talked about the last episode. There's only so much convincing you can do. There's just like, you kind of like Sean Baker was interviewing someone on the carnivore. When you do the carnivore diet, you kind of just have to walk the walk. You can't really try to convince people to do it, because a lot of people have just been stuck in their ways. Like, and Sean Baker made the point too, the guy that's like the carnivore doctor, he's been on Rogan a couple of times. Like, it's only been about 12, like people have been eating dairy now for a while now. Like, people have been eating other stuff. So I think that's why people have become, McDonald's, Taco Bell, fast food, all this junk food, a lot of it's relatively new in regards to the entire, course of history. But you got to think, like, we've been, like milk, dairy, which I'm not into dairy. I can't do dairy. A lot of that stuff is fairly new. I know a lot of people can do dairy. I think, because dairy's been around. I think he was saying dairy's been around for 12,000 years. So that's about, that's not a whole lot of time to like get the chance to evolve, to adapt to being able to eat dairy. I think that's why a lot of people are lactose intolerant, is just because, evolution takes place over, hundreds, thousands of years sometimes. And I think for some people, they can eat dairy, no problem. Those are the people that have kind of, their evolution has taken place in favor for them, so they can eat the dairy with no problem. But there's still a lot of people that have issues with dairy, so that's why I choose not to eat dairy. Strictly just meat, preferably New York strips, ribeye. Really a big fan of thick cut New York strip. It's got to be grass fed. It's interesting. He was saying that there's not much of a difference between grass fed and like a normal fed, or a grass fed and like some of the store bought, which is like corn fed, and sometimes it's got like extra hormones in it and stuff like that. I was surprised by that. I thought there was a difference between. He said there's grass fed's definitely healthier, but he said it's not like grass fed isn't like a whole heck of a lot healthier. It's interesting to me. I thought for sure grass fed would be a lot healthier, but turns out grass fed is healthier, but it's not a whole lot healthier. Which I guess when I really think about this deeply, I guess it makes sense, because when I've eaten like when I eat like store bought burgers, when I eat meat that's not grass fed, I still feel really good, but you just don't get. I don't really feel the same benefits as the grass fed. When you eat grass fed, that's just like the best. You can tell it's fresh. You can just tell it's just true. That is about as true. Eating about as true to your ancestors hundreds of thousands of years ago. Eating about as true to cavemen, because think about, cavemen were eating, grass fed, or they were eating, cattle that was, that was fresh, cattle that was eating right, cattle that was not, in poor environments and just fed crap. But yeah, huge believer in carnivore diet. I like a lot of things I hear. I love some of the success stories of people doing it. A lot of people, I think that's why it's become trending, and it's drawn so much interest, because a lot of people that have done it, they did it to save their life. It wasn't just, there's obviously some people that just do it to just try it, just to kind of screw around, but there's a lot of people that do it to try to save their life. Talking about people down to 69 pounds, struggling, autoimmune disorders, not keeping food down, irritable bowel disease, IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, all of these different issues, acne, skin issues, problems with their teeth. You hear about all these issues on carnivore diet, and they were all just cleared up. So, and that's the thing. There's no. I get annoyed because there's studies anecdotally that are wrong about carnivore diet, but no one talks about, like, there hasn't been a true. I guess there was supposed to be one to come out. There hasn't been a true study testing the effects of only eating meat. I think that's why a lot of people are skeptical of the carnivore diet, because there is just a lot. It's just a lot of anecdotal evidence that carnivore is good, but there's just like so many accounts. There's so much anecdotal evidence. Like, you hear, like, how many people have you heard go on it and had a negative experience, not lose weight, not look healthier, not their skin not clear up, their teeth not look better? Like, how many people have you heard? Like, that's the thing. Even though this is all, anecdotal evidence, there has been no true study. And some of the studies on carnivore diet have been people that have been eating junk along with the meat, like ice cream and pie and stuff like that. So That's what they really need, is a study purely just looking at the effects of when you eat red meat. You need just test someone on carnivore diet, preferably for, multiple months at a time, only eating, New York strip, preferably grass-fed meat, only just on a strict carnivore diet, and study that person for a few months and study their health and study their lab workout. And people need to shut up about some of these articles that just talk about LDL cholesterol being high. You talk about Dr. Sean Baker. I trust this guy, so I have to trust, he made the point, your LDL cholesterol levels being high does not really matter if you're a healthy person. That's a myth. So you look at, that's what really worries you about how much much complete bullshit and misinformation is on the internet. Because if you look, I researched why carnivore diet is bad, just so I could find some issue with the diet. And that's what they're talking about. High LDL cholesterol is bad. Bullshit. Talk about how it can screw up the whatever in your gut, the microbiomes in your gut. Well, actually, your stomach is pretty versatile and can adjust to it. That's false. So there's just so much. All the negatives on carnivore diet is just a bunch of complete bullshit. It's a bunch of false. And then they even said, quote, in this one article, that it was anecdotal evidence for something. I forget exactly what it was. So basically, they're saying that they're just going off of hearsay too. Now it makes me sound hypocritical because I'm going off of. Well, I guess I can attest because I've done a carnivore diet now for give or take 2 years, but I've went off of basically anecdotal evidence for the current, but I haven't heard any negatives. I think that's the thing. I think you can argue all day that a lot of the people for carnivore diet are just basing it off of, what other people have said about it, all just strictly all anecdotal evidence, no controlled studies, no controlled verified studies by any university. People can argue that point, but if it's all good things and no negatives, then don't you have to be living in don't you have to be a little bit delusional to not at least be intrigued by that? If someone told you that, if people didn't know working out was good for you and there was all just people saying, working out, if you had everyone say, if there was no controlled study that working out has health benefits, but everyone says, and there's no one saying no one saying that working out is negative for you, wouldn't you have to say, yeah, working out must be good for you. Working out has good benefits. Even though that's not the best example because people know working out is good for you, but you kind of catch my drift here. Just if you hear so many anecdotal stories of it being good and no negative stories besides the only negative stories being when people deferred from the diet, don't you think that there's got to be something to it? Doesn't it think you should draw some intrigue? It just goes back to sometimes people are just kind of stubborn and stuck in their ways. There's always going to be, you talk about, there's kind of three different types of people when they hear when they hear about something that's good for them. There's always the people that would never do it, the people that think about it but probably would never do it, or if they did do it, would try it. And then there's the people that would do it, but they would probably only do it and then there's the people that would be all in, So you kind of always have the three different types of people. The people that would hear about carnivore diet, even the benefits, continue to practice cognitive dissonance and not do it. And then the people in the middle who probably would think about it, be intrigued by it, but never do it, and then think about it, and kind of the people close to them, the people intrigued by it, never do it, and then the people on the extreme of they would do it and they're all in. Kind of me, Sean Baker, a lot of people, Joe Rogan, people that do it. I guess you can kind of argue that Joe Rogan's maybe somewhat one of the people in the middle, if you will, of the people I just explained, because he doesn't always do it. But yeah, you feel like there is those three extremes. Thanks for tuning in to BP Insights. Stay tuned for more episodes and clips from the show. Till next time, peace.